I basically just made the same text 3 times, and I made the bottom one orange, and I offset it up and to the left by 1 pixel. I made the highlight yellow-ish, and I offset that +1 to the right and +1 down. And then I made, oh, I'm sorry, that was white. And then, I'm probably not getting these right, but no, okay, the top one, the upper edge is white, the bottom one is orange, and then the middle one, which is the body of the text, is centered over those. So what you end up seeing is this. So it's quite yellow, but there's a slight white edge. It might be hard to see in the video, and a slight orange edge that's offset. So you can try this on your own, but I found that the embossed text did not give, this is what I was hoping for with the embossed when I set the colors, but it didn't work the way I liked it, so I did this instead.
Yeah, and you've even used the same size font for all that, so if you really wanted to, you could probably make zigzag like bigger and then bolder, you know, like a bold or whatever, and then
yeah, or you could
play
like
with it, you
scale it
know?
up slightly.
Yeah.
There's a number of ways to approach this, but this was my
Yeah, quick and dirty.
30-second approach to getting an embossed effect.
Yeah, no Photoshop required.
No Photoshop or skills required at all. Okay, let me find that code again. All right, so nothing exciting about this file. Basically, it waits 2 seconds, or if you tap the screen, it goes to the main menu. The main menu, what do? I load game, which is what we used to do in main Lua. So I load the game module. I do all the other stuff that this this file used to do. So when it creates a play button and an options button. Let me see if I can get the windows up here. It creates this play button and this options button. Now here's the important thing. Composer provides you with a display group in self.view, which is the implied parameter passed in create. So I take that and I store it in a variable which has file level scope. So in other words, I made a local variable at the top of my file which will be visible to all functions below, and I stored that group in this variable called scene group. And then I created a new group called menu group, which I then put into scene group, and I put my 2 buttons into it. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to be able to pass this to the game init, and it would create a bunch of layers. But then I wanted a very easy way to float my buttons above all that. I didn't want to have to put my buttons in the game layers. I wanted to leave that part of my code alone. So I could easily rip it out, leave it standalone, or I could easily put it in here. So in a sense, what I've done is I've created one additional group, which then I simply push to the front after I initialize the game. And from then on, those buttons will always float over the content. I wish this would stop doing that. So all of this content that you're seeing here is the game module drawing the layers and the player and the hallway, and I've got my buttons nicely floating over the top so I can access them. If I had not done that, it would look like this. Not what I want, right? So my buttons are gone. I've got no way to start the game. Everything else about the way we initialize game is the same. So basically I just called game init. I passed in that optional group, which we didn't use previously, but it was set up for this exact purpose. And all the content is created in the Composer group. So now Composer is managing this group. If Composer decides to destroy this scene, it will destroy all the layers that game created. Game, the module. Alright, so what is left? We need to define the start button function and the options button. If we go down to the bottom of the file, there is a function called onPlay, which is hooked up to that play button. So when I click this, it executes this code over here. What that code does is it posts a custom event called onSFX, which we'll discuss in a moment, but basically it produces a sound if sound is enabled, the sound effects are enabled, a clicking sound. And then it hides that group, the menu group, where the two buttons live. And why do we do that? Because this is a merged sort of interface, and I want to get rid of these buttons while I'm playing, but I want to be able to quickly bring them back when I die, or when I fail and hit the wall. The only other thing I do here is, this seems a little bit weird at first, is the first time I've run this, you'll remember that I already did the game in init. So all I really need to do the first time you press the start button is actually start the game up. Start the player moving, start the hallway generating, etc., etc. But the next time I come in here, so when I play, the game starts, I hit a wall. What I would like it to do is wait a moment, as it did, and then redisplay the play button so I can click it and start over. So as you recall, previously we had some functions that did a restart, and the way it worked before was in the player file, when the player died, it waited 3 seconds, and I've changed this to 1 second. It waited 3 seconds, and it cast an event called onRestart, which was in game Lua. And in here we had this bit of code. Basically, it was listening for that event, and it would call this function, which was defined up here within game Lua, and it would stop the game, it would clean the game, it would reinitialize the game, and it would wait a period of time and start it over. We did that so we could test our code. So the game would run, we would play, we would die, it would wait 3 seconds and start over again. Great for testing, not great for the framework. What we want is some control here. And what I did was I retasked this event. So everything in the player works the same as it did before. You hit the wall, and I think, okay, sorry about that. You hit the wall, and you wait 1 second this time, and I throw the event on restart, or I post the event on restart. The main menu code is listening for that. I got a little function here, on restart, and what it does is it re-shows the menu group, which I hid before. It changes the alpha to 1. It takes half a second, and then that's it. All I need then is to click, and I can click start and start the game over again. And then the next time I click start, however, I need to stop the game, clean up the game, reinitialize, put us back in the center of the screen, and then restart the game. So just to take you through that.
So basically, the functionality hasn't changed, or the what do you not the functionality? You're not changing.
The order of events has not changed.
Yeah, the order. Yeah, you're not changing what you want to do. You're just changing how it does it.
All I'm changing is how it gets called, when it gets called. I'm changing from an endless loop of just calling it automatically to putting it under the control of this button. So I press start or play. I do well for a little while, and then I kill myself. It waits a moment. The buttons show, and then I press play again, and I'm good to go. Or not, if I'm a terrible player. And I think, see, I've found a bug, actually. So remember how I said, that's good, found a bug. So what just happened there?
It didn't pass the first checkpoint, huh?
Well, not just that, but remember how I said this needs to float over the top? So the first time I do it, it's floating over the top, I start playing, I die. It brings it back. Great. But as soon as I destroy and remake this content, it's going to be in that group, and it's going to be over the top of this. What I needed to do was change my code ever so slightly and take this little bit right here Yes. Like that. Basically, I need to bring that layer back over the top because I destroyed all this content and then I drew it again, and it's now the second time it was over the button. So now if I do this, I should kill myself, play, kill myself. Okay, well, I've messed up something, and I'm sure Sergey is seeing it, but I'll fix it before. Oh, yeah, the fact is I can't type. Sorry, guys. Okay, that's better. So do all of this stuff to create the content. Do this. There. I hate making mistakes and having to fix them live. If this doesn't fix it, we'll just move on because I'm not entirely engaged in this process. Okay, there we go. So show the group, bring it to the front. Show the group, bring it to front. Make sure it's always on top.